Hello and welcome to the Online Marketplace video series. My name is Sam with the Online Marketplace team at the Feeding America National Office, and today we will be covering the agency account in the Online Marketplace technology platform. So let's go ahead and get started here on the login screen. As you can see, there are a few different methods for getting yourself registered and then logged into the Online Marketplace platform. And that really depends on how the food bank has you as the agency user set up. If, in addition to the invitation email, the food bank sends you a username and password, you will use the domain account option down here at the bottom to get yourself registered and from then on log in to your online marketplace account. If, alternately, the food bank does not send you an associated username and password, you will use an existing account, either your Facebook, Yahoo, or Windows Live account, to get yourself registered and then to log in the future to your account. So I'm going to go ahead and log into our test account and walk through first submitting receipts, and then in addition to that, the different management tools that the agency account offers. So as we log in, you can see each time you jump into your account, you're going to land here on the receipts page. And the idea of submitting a receipt, the sort of principle that informs the way this is set up, is one of simplicity. We wanted to make sure that the act of submitting a receipt is as simple and as straightforward as possible, so that with just a couple clicks and potentially filling out a few fields, you guys can get your receipts into the food bank and go ahead and get along with the important work that you're doing, getting food to your friends and neighbors in need. So let's go ahead and submit a few receipts, kind of walk through that process, and go through the different possibilities that can occur with this reoccurring pickup model. So first off, you're going to want to select the date. You can either type it in or select the date from this drop-down. This would be the date of pickup for this particular receipt. Once you have the date selected, you will go ahead and from this drop-down select the donor. Now the food bank is going to assign the donors to you, so you will see only the ones that you already report for. But if you decide that you'd like to use the online marketplace platform to record and track donations from other donors, you are more than welcome to do so. You would just need to reach out to the food bank and let them know, in addition to the ones that you see now, that you would like to report for donors X, Y, and Z. They can then go ahead and add them to your account, and you'll see them in this drop-down. All right, so after you have selected the date and donor, now it's time to address those different potential outcomes of this reoccurring pickup model. So these two up here would account for what you might consider an unsuccessful pickup. So let's say, for the sake of argument, that today is the day that you're going to go in and you're scheduled to make your pickup from a particular donor. You can select scheduled pickup not attempted, and then you can see here this reason drop-down will appear, and you have different options for why you weren't able to go in and make the pickup on that particular day. Either, potentially you were sick, or maybe there was a vehicle issue, or perhaps the donor actually called and canceled on you guys, or if none of those apply, you can select other, and you can see that this reason field is going to pop up. You can add a little more information here as to what specifically happened that day that prevented you from going in and making this particular pickup. Maybe it was bad weather. So now that you've got this filled out, you can go ahead and hit Add Receipt. And once you hit Add, you'll see that this receipt is ready for submission. So essentially, when you are putting these receipts into the platform, instead of having to add one and then submit it and then go back and navigate all the way back to the receipts tab and add another one and submit that one, what you can do is you can submit receipts in batches. So you can continue to add receipts to account for the period of time you are receipting for, whether it's everything that you picked up that day, everything that you picked up that week, whatever the case may be, and you just can continue to add those receipts until everything is accounted for, and then with one click of the button, submit everything over to the food bank. So let's go ahead and we'll look at adding another receipt. We'll say that some other pickups took place during this time frame that we need to add. So you'll click on Add New Receipt. And as you can see, you are taken right back to that same familiar page to go ahead and continue to put this information in. So again, after selecting the date and the donor from this dropdown, Let's say that this time though, you went in, or perhaps you sent your driver in, and there were simply no pounds to be picked up. You can go ahead and select no pounds, and you can see once you click on that, this reason field will appear similar to the one that we saw before. And you can add the information as to why you were not, or rather why there wasn't anything to be picked up at this particular donor. Maybe it was closed unexpectedly. So once you get that information filled out, just like before, you can hit the Add Receipt button. And now that receipt is also ready for submission. And you can see at any point in this process, you've got the option to either delete one of these receipts or open it back up for editing. If I click on that, I have all the exact same options as I had the first time around to make updates or changes, and just to make sure that all of the information that is being put in is correct and that I'm satisfied with everything that is being entered. All right, so those are the two options for what you might consider an unsuccessful pickup. Now let's go ahead and look at adding a receipt where you or perhaps your driver went in and there was actually something to be picked up at the donor and you need to just go ahead and record that information. So just like before, we're going to select date and we're going to select donor. And then down here at the bottom, this is where you can add the information for what you might call the successful pickup. In the category dropdown, you will see the 8 or potentially 9 online marketplace food categories for you to pick from. If you sort of envision yourself standing in a grocery store, you can think of these as the different departments. So for instance, let's say that you picked up, we'll do apples and oranges. So you can select produce. You'll select the associated storage requirement for produce. And then in the description field, you can add a little more information as to what specifically was picked up. This can also be beneficial to you because you'll have all of this information that you've entered, you'll have access to it, and you can look back at what specifically was entered beyond just the sort of broad category description. So in the field, I'm going to write out what specifically was picked up, in this case apples and oranges, and let's go ahead and then enter the poundage, how much of this particular category we picked up on that day. And we'll say, for the sake of argument, 50 pounds. So once that information has been filled in, you can go ahead and hit Add. And you can see here, this line has been entered, and if that is the only thing that was a part of this pickup, you could go ahead and add the receipt, just like we did with the other ones. But let's say that perhaps in addition to the apples and oranges, you guys went in and there was something else, multiple different categories for you guys to pick up that just need to be receipted for. The way to do that is by hitting Add New Line Item. And as you can see, the very same options come up for you just to continually fill out and add new lines until everything on this particular pickup from this particular donor has been accounted for. So again, you will select the category from the dropdown. You'll select the associated storage requirement. You will enter the description, and then one more time enter the pounds. But let's say that this time, maybe you hit the 0 a few too many times. Maybe you enter a couple too many digits, and the poundage is skewed. The food bank will set up a threshold for you. And you can see here, it's just this notice to kind of draw attention to what is being entered. If you, in this particular case, went in and picked up 1,000 pounds of water, please go ahead and receipt for that. This is just designed to draw attention and help prevent errors, to make sure that you guys, when you enter this information and you look back on what you're putting into the platform, have the most accurate picture of your donation record as possible. So once that information has been filled in, you can hit Add. And we'll say that those are the only 2 categories that were picked up, and we can go ahead and then add this receipt. Recently, I entered a very similar receipt to this one here at the bottom, and as you can see, it's warning me that this receipt looks a lot like another one that was put in recently. So I'm going to go ahead and click Check Duplicate, and as you can see, the platform then shows you the information that has been put in before that matches or is at least very close to the receipt that you just entered, and it's giving you options to either go ahead and delete it because it's already been put in, or to keep it because it's a new receipt. So in this particular case, I'm going to say go ahead and keep it. So once all of your receipts are in, whether it's everything for that day, everything for that week, whatever the case may be, you can go ahead and then submit the receipts. Or you also have the option, just like we looked at, to edit them if you need to update something, or to just delete them entirely. But let's, in this case, go ahead and hit submit. And as you can see, you get notification that your receipts were submitted successfully, and you are done. With just a few clicks of the button, your receipts have been entered, they've been filled out and sent over to the food bank, and now you can go ahead and get on with whatever else you have going on that day, back to the work of getting the food out to your friends and neighbors who are in need. But, let's say that maybe you're like me and you're kind of a chronic double checker, or you just want to go ahead and look back on the receipts that have been entered thus far. You can do that by selecting the previous submission options. And as you can see here, these will show you all of the receipts that you have entered thus far into the platform. If you look under the status column, you will see that some of the receipts that have been entered recently show a status of submitted, while the receipts that have been sitting in the platform for a while have now transitioned to locked. The food banks will set up an edit period for you in which you can go ahead and enter these receipts, and then even after you've submitted them, go and make updates or corrections up to a certain point before they are locked and no longer available for editing. If, as you are looking back, you realize you need to make an update to one of the receipts that still shows a status of submitted, you can hit edit and go in and make those updates or changes. If, however, the receipt shows as a status of locked and you need to make updates or changes, please just go ahead and reach out to your food bank. Let them know what the changes need to be, and then they can address that in their system. So in addition to just being a place to submit receipts, the platform is also a suite of management tools to help you guys oversee and run your respective programs. So for instance, you've got this dashboard, which is a high-level breakdown of poundage entered over the course of time. And you can see down here at the bottom, the platform is also keeping track of key statistics. So as you submit more receipts, as you receipt for more donors, this information will remain up to date. In addition to just having this high-level breakdown, you can also zoom in on a specific time frame by selecting this drop-down here. You can see that there are some sort of prefab options, today, the last 7 days, this month, last month, etc. But let's say that you want to zoom in on something a little more specific. Maybe you want to look at everything that came in for the quarter, or everything that came in for, the entire year, whatever the case may be. You can go ahead and select a date range here in this calendar. In this case, we'll take a look at just a couple months, apply that, and as you can see, you can take a look at what came in within that specific time frame and filter for specific dates. So that's all fine and good to be able to look at this high-level breakdown, but let's say that you want to go one step further and actually run some reports on the receipts that you have been entering. You, of course, have access to all of this information and a powerful reporting tool to pull that information into usable documents. So, for instance, the summary report is a breakdown by those online marketplace reporting categories of poundage within a specific time frame. And again, it's a matter of you saying, well, let's look at everything that came in the month of November. Let's see how we did in November. And once you've got that date range set up, you can also select what sort of file you would like this to be created in. Once you've got all of the information in, you can hit Create Report, and Online Marketplace will generate that report based off the receipts that you have been entering within that time frame. Now, maybe you want to go one step further and actually look at line by line a detailed record, a detailed accounting of every receipt that you have entered into the platform within a specific time frame. You've also got that option here with the detailed reporting. You can either select one specific donor location or run it for all of your donors. You can set the date range by either the pickup date, which would be the date that you are putting in the receipt, or the submission date, the date that you are actually sending the receipt over to the food bank. And then it's a matter of just selecting the start and end date like we did before, and the file format. So let's go ahead and run this report. And as you can see, in addition to still having this high-level breakdown of statistics, you also have a line-by-line accounting of everything that you have entered into the platform, both for those successful pickups as well as for those unsuccessful pickups. For instance, when it was prevented from going in from bad weather, or perhaps the donor canceled on you. And all of that information will be right here. You'll have access to that info, and you can use it not only to track what you've done in the past, but also to forecast and plan for the future. So let's hop over now to the agency profile. This information is going to, by and large, be filled out by the first person who follows the link in the email invitation that the food bank will send you and gets the agency account set up. As you can see, it's pretty straightforward stuff: agency name and contact information, as well as the primary contact that you would like to have associated with this. But at any point in time, you can go back in and make updates or changes and make sure that this information is current. Perhaps you move to a new location, or perhaps someone new comes in and is going to take over and be the primary contact. You'll always have access to go in here and make those updates or changes. Finally, the messaging service. This serves two purposes. The first of which is to remind you if you fall behind on submitting receipts for any of your assigned donors. If that's the case, the account will reach out to you with a message, an auto-generated message that you'll receive here, just letting you know that you are delinquent for a specific donor, and the request to go ahead and please put those receipts in. In addition to that, it's also a place for you to communicate directly with the food bank through your account. So for instance, maybe you want to go ahead and let them know about a donor that you're having trouble with, or maybe you just want to make them aware of an opportunity in your area that you've seen. You can send them a message in a format very similar to an email. The subject line, you can go ahead and put that information in, whatever you would like the name of the message, the subject of the message to be. In this recipients dropdown, you will see the food bank for you to go ahead, your own food bank for you to pick. In the priority dropdown, you can set how important this message is. Is it just an update that doesn't need any specific priority, or is it a critical message that needs to be looked at right away? And then finally, down here in the body, you can go ahead and add the individual line items, the individual information, whatever you need to send over to the food bank down here. Once that's all filled out, you can go ahead and hit send. And that message then is sent over to the food bank. They will receive that in their own online marketplace account, and if they need to follow up, they can also send you a subsequent message as well. If you look at your sent items, you will also see everything that you have sent out, in addition to not only who you have sent it to, but also how many of those recipients have actually gone ahead and read it. And if you want to, you could open it back up and look at the message in detail. So those are the different aspects of the agency account in the online marketplace technology platform. Both the sort of central location to simply and electronically submit receipts to the food bank, as well as a powerful suite of management and communication tools to help you guys oversee and run your various programs. Thank you very much for watching the video, and I hope you have a great day.